Hey, what's up, my people? It's your girl Coco with the flow. Welcome back to another bloody video. Hope you guys are having a lovely week, and I've had a lovely week. And yeah, let's get into the video today. So as you can see, this is talking about types of boundaries. First off, I didn't even know there were types of boundaries. I am literally learning this like this week. So I decided I'm gonna talk about it because it's something I learned and I would love to share because I'm a recovering people pleaser, and I believe that it's just because I lack boundaries, and having them really helps. So let's get into the video. First things first, guys, don't forget to subscribe. Just go do it right now, please. Talk about it. Yes, cost you nothing. Let's get into the video. So these are the 6 types of boundaries. Number 1 is physical boundaries. 2, emotional boundaries. 3, time boundaries. 4, sexual boundaries. 5, intellectual boundaries. And 6, material boundaries. Let's get into it. So, first things first, I'm the realest. Drop this and let the whole world feel it. And I'm still in the murder business. I get 100 down like I'm giving lessons of physics. Right. This is not the first time I've done this, is it? But man, if I say first things first, that's the first thing that pops up. Number 1 is physical boundaries. Physical boundaries include your needs for personal space, your comfort with touch, and your physical needs like needing to rest, eat food, and drink water. It is okay to let people know that you don't want to be touched or that you need more space. It's also okay to say that you're hungry or that you need rest. Healthy boundaries might sound like, I am not a big hugger, I'm a handshake person. No, I don't want you to touch me like that. And don't go into my room without asking me first. This is something that I just need to work on. Now you see, the problem is because I'm a recovering people pleaser, I feel bad and I don't want to hurt people's feelings, but at the expense of my comfortability and my happiness, which isn't a good thing. And by doing things to make people feel comfortable, you think it makes you a nice person, but it doesn't. You're not being nice towards yourself. And also, you're not being your truest self. If someone comes to your house uninvited, you have the right to even tell them to go back home. Because who the hell told you that you can just pull up? Now, you see, that's when you're supposed to set a boundary and be like, yo, I prefer when you come through, before you come through, you call me, let me know. And I'll let you know if I am in the mood of receiving guests, if I want to receive guests. If someone gets mad at you, they're not supposed to be in your life, because that is now entitlement. They do not have to come to your house just because they're your friend or just because they're your family. It is your space. Even in your room, someone shouldn't just walk in. One, you could be naked and you could actually just even be chilling and you want alone time. Someone should know, knock before you come in. That is also a boundary I even recently had to set. Recently, there was a house help who I did not mind watching stuff with her. I did not mind, we can watch, yeah. But it got to a place, she would just come in whenever she wants, and I was like, what the fuck? And then I would be on my phone, and she's like, right, coming through. And she's like, kwa nini hawekangi loudspeaker? I was like, what? So one time, especially when I'm editing, I like my privacy. So I told her I would like my privacy because I am doing my work. And she did, and walked away. I was like, yo, I got to set some boundaries. So the next day, I said, good morning. She was like, Sema. I was like, hey! I said, me, I'm going to set boundaries. So I told her, excuse me, can I talk to you? I said, first off, you have to give someone respect. You cannot just barge into someone's space and just sit there without their permission. I told even before I go into your room, I knock. I even ask. So you have to give me that respect. Even my own little brother gives me that respect. He will knock. If I tell him I'm not in the mood, he doesn't jam. Then she was like, oh, Mrs. Jakasirika. I was like, it's not about you getting mad. It's about respect. Giving someone that space. Ask someone, is it okay if I watch this with you? If they say no, well and good, you move on. If they say yes, sawa sawa. So I told her you need to have boundaries. That was one of the first times I've done that. Because I never used to do that. I just cut people off. I just stopped talking to you entirely. I just become a bitch, basically. But instead, I'm learning to set boundaries. Because sometimes, if someone just doesn't know, they don't even know that that's how you feel. They'll assume because you let them in your space and you let them in your home that there's nothing wrong. So they'll assume everything is okay. But also, let me tell you something. Read the room, people. Read the room. You can clearly see this person doesn't want you around. Now we will go to Apple. People also need to learn how to read the room. I will go to a certain place and I can clearly see, let's say I'm not wanted, I will not go back. What am I doing even going back? So read the room, the fuck. And also about being touched, unwanted touch, especially us as women, we go through this a lot. There's a time a guy wanted me and I didn't want him. Well, he basically told me he loved me. He doesn't even know me, eh? He said he loved me, so obviously that's just some love bombing shit. And I was just like, thank you. And he said, fuck you. And I was like, clearly he's emotionally immature. But anyways, so one time we were drinking at a friend's place. I'm sat on the far end of the couch. He sat on the far left of the couch. He sat on the far right. And I feel like someone is like touching the back of my neck. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I look at him and I'm like, bro. Mind you, he's looking at me, maintaining eye contact. Jesus. I was like, bruh, don't touch me. I'm not comfortable. I don't like that. And he said, you'll get used to it. So why are you losing your brain? I looked at him, I was like, nigga, I will never fucking get used to that shit. Don't touch me. I do not want you to touch me. I'm not comfortable with it. I don't like it. After this, like, oh, you're like really hard-headed. With my fucking neck. There's some niggas who are actually stupid. And I maintain that boundary ever since then. That nigga just avoids me. And yes, motherfucker, avoid me. I don't got time for this shit. So yes, guys, make sure that you protect your personal space, your freaking body, and you have to set boundaries. You have to. Yes, there's some people who don't give a fuck, but just avoid that. Avoid those people. Yeah, next one. Emotional boundaries. Emotional boundaries are all about respecting and honoring feelings and energy. Setting boundaries emotionally means recognizing how much emotional energy you are capable of taking in, knowing when to share and when not to share, and limiting emotional sharing with people who respond poorly. Respecting emotional boundaries means validating the feelings of others and making sure you respect their ability to take in emotional information. It might sound like, when I share my feelings with you and get criticized, it makes me totally shut down. I can only share with you if you're able to respond respectfully to me. I'm sorry you're having such a tough time right now. You're having such a tough time. Right now, I'm not in a place to take in all this information. Do you think we can come back to this conversation later? Wow, I'm having a hard time and really need to talk. Are you in a place to listen right now? I really can't talk about this right now. It isn't the right time. First off, I love this, man. I love shit like this because these are things I think of, but I don't want to say because I'm afraid of hurting people. But instead, I'm hurting myself. Oh my god, I need to get real. I need to get real. Now, especially because sometimes you might emotionally dump on people and they're just not in the mood. They just can't handle. And you know, one thing I've learned that is that you are not anyone's therapist, and also just because they're your friend doesn't mean they have to therapize you. Okay? You don't know what your friend is going through. You don't even know if they have the emotional capacity to even handle what you're saying, what you're dumping on them. So you have to respect that. And then people get offended. Oh, she's a bad friend because she doesn't want to listen to me. If your friend tells you that she's not prepared to handle that, respect it and talk about it later. If you feel like, as you know, I won't be able to deal with it, learn how to self-soothe. Have some tools that will help you go through these things. If it's prayer, if it's meditation, if it's, I don't know, taking a walk, if it's going for an actual therapy session, do it. You have to learn how to self-soothe. Your friends and your family cannot be the only people that you go to. You don't know what they're going through or if they're even capable of even handling what you're about to say. So make sure you have your own tools because you can't just dump on everyone. That's something I also I had to learn for myself. Emotional boundary violations include dismissing and criticizing feelings, asking questions that are not appropriate for the relationship, reading or going through personal and emotional information. Sorry, baby. Asking people to justify their feelings, assuming we know how other people feel. Oh, I do that. Telling other people how they feel. Yes, I do that. Emotionally dumping on people without their permission. Sharing inappropriate information, emotional information with your children. Number 3, time boundaries, which probably I need to work on like any angle. Your time is valuable and it's important to protect how it's utilized. Setting time boundaries is is incredibly important at work, home, and socially. Setting time boundaries means understanding your priorities and setting aside enough time for the many areas of your life without overcommitting. When you understand your priorities, it's much easier to limit the amount of time you are giving to other people. So this is something that I need to work on, because I just do. I'm not known for being on time, basically, and I just need to like respect that. I just respect people's time. So I need to learn time boundaries. Anyways, healthy time boundaries might sound like I can't come to that event this weekend. I can only stay for an hour. Do you have time to chat today? I would love to help, but I would be overcommitting myself. Is there another time? We have family time on Sundays, so we won't make it. I am happy to help with that. My hourly rate is ... Just say I won't be able by the I honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you, I ain't gonna come at that time. Be expecting me around here. So yes, time boundaries is something that I know I need to work on, and I just need to voice it out. That's number 3. And after you have set your time boundaries and someone still doesn't give a fuck, it is now your job to either cut them out of your life, because that's disrespecting you, or just don't expect much from them, basically, if you're gonna have them in your life. Next one, sexual boundaries. Healthy sexual boundaries include consent, agreement, respect, understanding of preferences and desires, and privacy. Healthy sexual boundaries include asking for consent, discussing and asking for what pleases you, requesting condom use if you want it, discussing contraception, saying no to things that you do not like or that hurt you, protecting the privacy of the other person. Now, this is something people need to be able to voice it out. That's why I'm saying it's good to start developing boundaries. Even if you're gonna say those things while you're scared, while you're shaking, you're terrified, say it. It's how you start to develop your own strength. You start to regain your power. You need to be able to say, I do not want to have sex. I am not interested in having sex with you. You need to be able to say, that hurts, or this, I don't like this. Could we try this instead? Set your boundaries. And if someone doesn't listen or doesn't give a fuck, you have the right to stop the whole thing. Because give a fuck about pleasing someone else at the expense of your happiness. An example of sexual boundaries are, in sentences are, do you want to have sex now? Is this comfortable for you? Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. I don't like that. Let's try something different. I don't want to have sex tonight. Can we cuddle instead? I am really into toes. Is that something you would feel comfortable with? They wrote their insert here. I'm not saying I'm into toes, guys. Sexual boundary violations include sulking, punishing, or getting angry if someone doesn't want to have sex. Because of those niggas. Base areas. Okay, women also do it. Men, they'll get mad. They'll say you're teasing them. You're a tease. Nini, shut up. It's not your body. She doesn't owe you shit. Get the hell out of here. And then there's the shorties who try to get a guy to have sex with them, but the guy says no, and she's like, Kwani, you're gay. You must be gay or something. Hey! So, if someone doesn't want to have sex with you, they have every right. It is their body, not yours. You just go and touch yourself, since ukona mahanjams be serious. Next, not asking for consent, because that is actually rape. Pressure to engage in unwanted sexual acts, unwanted sexual comments, leering, lying about contraceptive use, which to me is actually insane. And I know it actually happens out here. There's a male friend I remember once, he told me a story. He gave a shorty like money to go buy pills. Nakanonwate. He was so mad. I was even like, but bro, why'd you just let go like that? Honestly. But anyways, so you have to be very careful. There's also another chick I knew who told me live, I don't, like, I will pretend I took, but I don't take. I'll even tell them, yeah, I'm going to buy, but she doesn't buy. Oh, be careful out here, niggas, please. It's actually crazy out here. Lying about your health history. Those are now the demons who actually walk among us. Lying about, you know your status, lakini hawambii mtu, alafu unafanya rao. Those are the ones who will tell you, don't worry, I'm clean. What? Guys, Nairobi, it's all fun and games until upate kaswende. People are actually fucked up out here. It's not a joke. Please protect yourselves. Another one. Criticizing the other person's sexual preferences. Don't kink shame. If the person's sexual preferences are not for you, they are not for you. Watch it. And unwanted touch, assault, or rape. obviously. What I'll say is just be careful out there, protect yourselves. And if someone does cross these boundaries, you have every right to run. Kimbi, I imagine. You have every right to run. You have every right to scream. You have every right to leave that situation. Next, intellectual boundaries. Intellectual boundaries refers to your thoughts, ideas, and curiosity. Healthy intellectual boundaries include respect for the ideas of other people, and they can be violated when your thoughts and curiosity are shut down, dismissed, or belittled. Respectfulness and willingness to dialogue and understand are important here. Healthy intellectual boundaries also mean considering whether or not it is a good time to talk about something. Examples of healthy intellectual boundaries are: I know we disagree, but I won't let you belittle me like that. I would love to talk about this more, but I don't think talking about it during Thanksgiving dinner is the best time. When we talk about this, we don't get very far. I think it's a good idea to avoid the conversation right now. I can respect that we have different opinions on this. This is something that I need to work on, that I'm still working on. Like I remember last year, there's this guy. We were drinking, basically a group of friends, and then he was there. And my friend was telling me, basically, this guy, you should have him on your YouTube channel. He has crazy views. I was like, oh, okay, which kind of views do you have? He was like, that women deserve less. I said, what? I lost my shit for that guy. We argued, guys. I didn't even call him a rhino. First off, do we deserve less? No, we don't. So why was I feeding into him, into what he's saying? That was just one person's opinion. And I cannot get mad at everyone who speaks stupidly. I can just choose to ignore it, because I could have just chosen to ignore it and just have a great time and be like, look at this rhino in my head. Let's continue the intellectual boundaries. Does this mean that you need to be accepting of all your thoughts and opinions? Absolutely not. It's also important to learn to recognize the difference between healthy and unhealthy discourse. If someone is sharing an opinion that is inherently harmful, i.e. racism, sexism, xenophobia, homophobia, etc., then you have every right to put a hard line in the sand. You can set a boundary in your own way. You don't have to listen to what someone is saying. And you don't have to agree with them. You can easily say, oh, I'm not gonna have this conversation. And you move. Or our opinions differ, so I think it's best we just drop this. Last but not least, material boundaries. Material boundaries refer to items and possessions like your home, car, clothing, jewelry, furniture, money, etc. It is healthy to understand what you can and cannot share and how you expect your items and materials to be treated by the people you share them with. Having limits on how your material things are treated is healthy and prevents resentment over time. This might sound like, I can't lend out my car. I'm the only person on the insurance. We can't give any more money. We would be happy to help in any other way. Sure, I'm happy to share my dress with you. Just a heads up, I need it back by Friday. Material boundaries are violated when your things are destroyed or stolen, or when they are borrowed too frequently. Another material violation is the use of materials such as money and possessions to manipulate or control relationships. Material boundaries, kwanza hiyo, it's a very sensitive topic. It's very sensitive because people find it very hard to say no, especially when it comes to your money. And people get very entitled. When I grew up, I realized, imagine, no one owes you shit. If someone wants to help you, you should have gratitude. Like, you should be grateful that they're even going out of their way to help you. You should be like, thank you so much, I'm very grateful. Because someone can decide, even if they have the money and they have surplus, they have more than enough, and they say no, take that shit and move on. Because it's not your money, it's theirs. What they do with that money is their business. Especially lending stuff like clothes and what. Me kwanza, if I lend out clothes, I just know that I'm not going. I don't want it back. Like, it's yours. If I've given you, I've given you. So basically, in a nutshell, boundaries are something that I am really working towards implementing, and it's something that will help, because you deserve to be heard, and you deserve people to respect your boundaries. And if they don't, and they don't give a fuck, and they don't listen, you have every right to drop them. Every fucking right. Because someone who you keep telling them their boundaries and what you can and can't handle, and they will keep repeating it, now they're disrespecting you. That's disrespectful, and you have every right to drop that person. So to end it, the more we set boundaries, the more we recognize them. In setting boundaries, We help people show up for us, and we also become better at showing up for them. In the words of Brene Brown, clear is kind. It'll save you a lot of aggravation, because when someone crosses your boundaries that they don't know they've crossed, it makes you mad. But you need to set boundaries, because not everyone can read your mind. No one can read your mind. Yeah, so just say, this is what I'm comfortable with. I'm not comfortable with that. If someone doesn't get it, they can get the fuck out of here. Got it? Yeah. I love you. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for staying tuned. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want to purchase my bags, go to coleybeauty.ke to get some beautiful handbags. Okay. Till next week. I love you. God bless you.